Welcome back to Close Up and our special Manchester mayoral debate. We're going to jump right back into the questions with another one from John DeStaso.
Thank you. Mr. Sullivan, there has been a debate over a proposed rule by the State Education Department about barring schools from going to remote learning for any length of time, even for a short period meant to stem the tide of COVID cases or because of staffing shortages. Is there a scenario where you think schools should be remote because of COVID-19?
Sure. I think that we should have a hybrid option for parents and students right now, even where we're at with COVID-19, because we have students that have been exposed to COVID, that are quarantining, that are missing a lot of school. So if we need to go fully remote because of something that's happening, we need to have that option and be prepared for it. We got caught last time because we weren't prepared to go fully remote. So making sure that we're prepared for that is important, but we should only go fully remote when it's absolutely necessary. It is better to have the kids in the classroom, but we should also be providing hybrid experience for them if they need to quarantine. So we make sure that kids are not falling behind any more than they already have.
Thank you. And Mayor, same question.
Yes, I think this is a question and a situation where it should be local control. We understand what's happening in our schools best and should be able to make those decisions to accommodate education for our children. In fact, right now we have seen clusters in our schools, and there are students that are learning remotely. And if there is a situation in a school, again, to ensure the health and safety of our educators and our students, we should have the opportunity to go remote. But I need to stress, I had a student, my daughter, going through remote and hybrid learning last year. I saw how difficult it was both for she and for her educators, and we are doing everything in this district to ensure that our kids are in the classroom, safe, learning with their peers and with their teachers.
Mayor Craig, the homelessness issue is a difficult one, but now you've had 2 terms in office and the situation does not appear to be getting better. Why should voters trust that you'd be able to get the job done in a 3rd term?
So it is a very complex issue, Adam, and I do think that the situation is getting better. The city has made great strides in addressing homelessness here. We've hired the first director of homeless initiatives who has been working tirelessly since she's been here, forming relationships with nonprofits, with faith-based community, with increasing housing opportunities. In fact, she built a relationship with Gatehouse in Nashua, and over a 1-month period has gotten 23 people off the streets into long-term recovery. In addition, we've allocated nearly $8 million to affordable housing opportunities in the city of Manchester, ranging from supportive housing first opportunities to affordable housing opportunities, and that's what we need to focus on in order to address homelessness and housing in the city of Manchester.
Mrs. Sullivan, well-intentioned people have tried to address the homelessness issue for decades now. What makes you or your plans different from any politician who has made promises about resolving it and ultimately failed?
Right. Well, first, I think we need to address that. It is not better. When I ran 2 years ago, the homeless situation was really impacting the downtown area. Now it's in every neighborhood across the city. When I'm talking to people on their doorsteps, they're very concerned about the fact that homeless people have moved into their trails and into their parks. And they're concerned about letting their kids play outside now because the homeless encampments are so close to their homes. Under this mayor, we have seen over a 20% increase in homelessness in our city. We need to work across the state and across the aisle to be able to get this fixed. As a legislator, I was able to work in a bipartisan way to get work done for our city. And I currently work on the state level, across agencies, with stakeholders from all over the state. I also have a good working relationship with the governor, and we need to actually work in a bipartisan way across the state to be able to have long-term lasting solutions and not just be putting out little fires as we've seen this mayor do.
Mayor, we'll give you 30 seconds to respond there.
Thank you. From a statistical perspective, there's been a 19% increase in homelessness statewide, a 9% increase in homelessness in the city of Manchester. I've worked with every mayor in the state of New Hampshire, Democrats, Republicans, and Independents, addressing homelessness because they are saying it's the #1 issue that they are facing as well.
Mrs. Sullivan will give you a quick response and then move on.
Sure. You could see when the governor endorsed me, he said he's looking forward to having someone that he can work with in the city of Manchester instead of an adversary. And we need to stop pretending that we're doing things that are working. They are not. And we need to have the tough conversations about the work that we need to get done and have long-term lasting solutions. It doesn't matter what's happening anywhere else. The people of Manchester do not care about what's happening outside of here. We need to make sure we address what's happening in our city.
Okay, next question from John.
I think it's important to note the governor was actually in Manchester yesterday yesterday, meeting with Shauna Green, the Director of Homeless Initiatives, and has asked her to come to Concord to meet with legislators because he's so impressed with what's happening in Manchester.
Okay, we're moving on to the issue of crime, and another question from John
DeStaso. I know that he also invited the Aldermanic Board out and you, Madam Mayor, out, and you did not meet with him in Concord, so I'm glad to see that he came here to form that relationship.
Let's move on to our next question.
Thank you, Adam. On the issue of crime, you both have very different views of what's happening in the city. Violent crime was up in 2019, mirroring national trends, and 2020 saw an increase in certain types of violent crime, although overall violent crime dipped slightly amid the pandemic. Mrs. Sullivan, your critics contend you are exaggerating Manchester's crime problems, making the Queen City sound like sort of an urban war zone in an attempt to win this race. So how do you respond to those who say that you're actually the one overstating this issue and kind of spinning this issue?
Yeah, well, that's interesting because I get my information from going out there talking to people, and you can spin statistics any way that you want. There's a saying, there's lies, darned lies, and statistics. And when I'm out there speaking to people, I met with the family of the young man who was murdered at Derryfield Park yesterday. I have met with other people who have been victims of violent crime around our city. I met with the family of the man that was beaten outside of 7-Eleven. And we've had murders in our parks. We've had people stabbed in our trails. People do not feel that our city is safe, so I don't care what statistics you throw at them. I think it's not only disingenuous, but disrespectful to the families that are trying to heal from the violence in our streets. To say that it isn't happening or to say that I am somehow overplaying it, I am just being the voice of the people that I am speaking with. These are the people that have very serious concerns and are frustrated by this mayor having rose-colored glasses on and pretending that it's not happening. Our city streets are safe.
And Mayor, you've continued to maintain an upbeat, sort of sunny outlook on this issue that critics say is at odds with the reality people are experiencing on the streets. Are you invalidating the lived experience of crime victims when you tell people to look at numbers and statistics on a page to prove that they should feel safe?
Absolutely not. And I think in the actions of the Manchester Police Department, my office, and the Health Department, you can see that that's not true. Over the last 3 years, we have increased the number of police officers patrolling our streets by 30 police officers. We've increased training for our police officers from 8 hours to 40 hours a year, focused on de-escalation and cultural competency. We are putting more police officers patrolling our streets in our neighborhoods, and we're using federal dollars from the American Rescue Plan to increase community health workers, park rangers, and take care of quality of life issues. And it's really, really important to note, we've also implemented evidence-based programs to address violent crime. And in a very short period of time, we have taken 11 illegal guns off the streets of Manchester and thousands of grams of drugs off the streets of Manchester. And these evidence-based programs have been put together in collaboration with the Health Department and the Police Department in the city of Manchester.
Turning now to the issue of drug addiction and treatment, the city's Safe Station program, which allowed people facing addiction to walk into a firehouse and get treatment at any time, has now ended after more than 5 years. The program logged nearly 8,200 visits. Just under half of those who sought help were from outside of the city of Manchester. Mrs. Sullivan, do you feel that the large number of people who came in from outside the city exacerbated Manchester's drug crisis and put additional pressure on city resources? And are you concerned that the Doorways program, now expanding its hours of operation to become the primary first stop for treatment, that this problem will continue?
No, I think we should have gone to the Doorways program far before this. We were seeing issues with the Safe Stations program all along. It was well-intentioned, but we never had the services to be able to back up the amount of people that were coming here. But also what's exasperated this is the way that we've attracted homeless people to our city. Last year when we were, during COVID, the city was giving out tents and sleeping bags and setting up a fenced area for the homeless. People came here from all over, and many of those suffer from addiction. So we increased it then as well. There were Facebook Live videos where people were saying, come to Manchester, they're giving us everything we need. So those two situations combined have given us the situation we have now. And like you said, 1 in 4 people that are on our streets now are actually from Manchester. We need to work with cities outside of here to make sure that people that, whatever their last known address is able to get services where they are from, because Manchester cannot carry the burden of the entire state.
Mayor Craig, same question to you.
Sure. We worked for probably over a year with the state to transition Safe Station into the doorway. What was most important for all of us is that we continued with 24/7 service to individuals in the city of Manchester who needed help. And so it took a little time, but again, it was in collaboration with the state, the city, and with CMC, who's running the doorway here in the city of Manchester. And I have to applaud the efforts of both the fire department, the police department, and the health department, because they are now taking this to another level, where the fire department has an entity that goes out onto the streets and is taking Safe Station on the road. And the police department is working collectively with community health workers, and they're following up with individuals who have overdosed, where they are, to ensure they understand what the services are and that they have access to services.
Okay, we're going to do a quick lightning round question, just one right now. It's yes or no. Mayor Craig, if elected, do you pledge to serve a full term and rule out running for a higher office in 2022?
Yes.
And Mrs. Sullivan, same question to you. If elected, do you pledge to serve out a full term and not run for higher office in 2022?
Yes.
Okay. Well, we'll be right back with closing statements from both candidates. Stay with us.